Hello, welcome back to 3D Drawing for Model Railway. In today's episode, I'm going to continue working on the pickup conveyor. I'm going to start to look to detail the opposite side of what we were doing last week, or last lesson, sorry, and hopefully get this side looking a bit more finely detailed. So the first thing I'm looking at doing is going to add this panel on the side here. I'm not going to do the rivets because they're quite small. I think they're smaller than the normal rivets we'd be using, so I don't think they come up particularly well, but this panel should look alright on the side here. So first thing we'll do, make sure we've got that pickup conveyor selected in the radio button. I'm going to draw a sketch on the side profile here. Okay, so if we look at the profile, we've got sort of a large rectangle, a couple of angles on the top there. So I'm thinking we can start with just a simple line coming down. So about this position. I'll put dimensions in this in a second. And then it comes up slightly, so we want a slight rectangle. Might as well dimension that 0.1. I think I'm going to 0.1 there. Go 1 there. Right. I don't need to dimension this bottom one because we've dimensioned all of these. Select those profiles. I'm just going to extrude it. I think something small, like maybe 0.2 millimeters. Make sure that's joining, not clashing with anything else. Good here, clear there. That's okay. I wonder whether I maybe want to lift this up a bit. Maybe go 103, so 5 mil higher. That's because I haven't constrained that. Delete that constraint there. That'll allow me to do that there. Should do. That's it. If I constrain by that length, that's what that dimensioned it. I should then lock that in place. I think that's a little bit better, a bit higher there. I really wish there was a picture looking down above that would show a good clear picture of what's going on here. I think we are going to have some limitations on what we see up here, or what we can see up here, and what there actually is. But I think its detail is going to get lost in the model anyhow. Okay, so coming down, I think the next big thing we can tackle is this RAM. Now obviously we've got the limitations of how we're going to print this. Now this looks like it's hanging off of a plate here, and obviously with the printing process that would mean this would be supported, it'd be just too brittle and weak. So like everything else, I'm just going to make sure this is touching at the bottom when we produce that. So jumping back to Fusion, what I think we'll do is, for a quick look where it starts. So it's going to start about this position here and go down to just below there. So I think I'll do, actually not an offset plane, I think I'm going for a mid plane between that face. I'm going to get to see that side and that inside face. So we've got a mid plane of the pickup conveyor there. And then we'll draw on that profile. And I'm just going to draw a line for the, project that line on there, and project that line on there. And then we'll draw a line. I'm going to start in line with where this line comes down here. I'm just going to bring it down, making sure they're parallel. About that position there. Okay, so let's define that. So that's 13.6. Let's define the height from there as being 0.5. That'll give us a 1mm diameter ram. Would just about touch that. Parallel there. So what else needs defining with this? That's defined there. That's defined there. There we go. Undo that drag there. So if we define position from that point, pick whichever point you want to go for. You can go to the end of your pickup conveyor there. Okay, then what we could do, if we finish that sketch, we can then pipe. We'll do diameter of, let's have a quick look. So we're going to go thick, thicker, then back to this diameter. So let's go with maybe 1 to start with. That's a join. It's only just touching there. Can bring that back. So yeah, what I might do there is I'm just gonna change that to maybe 0.4, just to bring it in slightly, so there's more of the ram touching underneath. We can draw that sketch back on. No, it won't do it actually, because it'll want to start from there. So in fact, if we just do new sketch on that part there, pick a circle, catch up at the top here. So you know we've already got 1 there, so if we come 1.2, extrude that. I'm going to do 0.3. And then do that pipe again. And join. And that's got to go down. And we'll go back there, so let's call that 0.6. And then we're going to go smaller ram on the end here. It comes down to that point. So get a sketch on that profile. Again, again, just making sure you pick up the midpoint there. Mine jumped there as I clicked, so I just come off of it again. Let's go for 0.7. See how it's still touching inside. That's what we need. It's not actually on this part, but I think it'll still be fine because this is going to come down, catch it at this point, and it's only a tiny bit there that's going to be extended. Just make sure it's not touching. Yeah, it's not touching into the chassis there. Touch join. So I've come down 4.5 there. And then we've got a larger piece on the end. So draw a sketch on the end here. And I'm going to go for the 1.2 again. Select both those profiles. Spin it down to the side, and I'm going to come down, I think about 2 millimeters just for this part of the end here. Make sure that's joined. And that's our ram on the bottom of there. Okay, so spinning around on the other side, we've got another ram underneath on this side here. This one's going to be slightly more complicated than the last one because it goes from quite low down on the pickup conveyor to quite high up, and at the top it twists inwards slightly, so we can't just use that mid plane because otherwise it'd be a mid plane of this one goes straight off in sort of this direction up here. So we have to create a bit of a plane at an angle that will be angled towards this. So I'm going to use plane at angle, and I'm going to select that line, vertical line there. Let's go zoom down. If we turn off the middle roof, we can see what we're actually looking at there. I'm going to spin this plane around just so that it's at a slight angle, maybe. So we've got 85 degrees there. Then I'm going to put a plane, an offset plane from that one, and then I can drag that back into the model there. You can see how that then cuts across the model at an angle there, going up. And then we're going to draw on the rear of those, so that plane at an angle. Sorry, the offset plane, not the plane at an angle. Okay, turn off that construction plane. So we're going to draw again a line. It starts looking at the picture roughly where these two rivets are here and goes quite high up, and it's actually hidden at the top here. So I'm going to start a line roughly where those rivets are, and I'm going to come up to about somewhere up here. So I'm going to go for maybe 30 millimeters. If we define the height here, it's quite a small ram, so I'm going to actually come down to say maybe 0.3 millimeters away from the top of the plane there, and then distance from there, let's go for 17.6 millimeters. Okay, if we create a pipe now, I'm going to do 0.8, I think looks okay. Now what we need to do is make sure it stays fully behind, which it is, staying fully behind that floor there. Okay, so that's going to be the thinner part of the ram, and now I'm just going to turn on that sketch again, use a pipe, use that same line, reduce the height. I'm going to increase the size, so maybe come up to 1 millimeter in diameter, and the thick part goes to just before where that ribbon starts. So just going to bring this down in that sort of area there, just to make that easy, go 0.5. That's me, 0.53 I'm going to go for, and then click on OK, turn that sketch off, and that's ram really put on there. Again, there's not really a lot else there. There's a mounting point, but you're not going to see that underneath. So the ram itself is just going to create more of a visual break as you look sideways profile on it. Move back on. Okay, it's not clashing with anything. That looks all clear, so happy with that. Okay, so the next thing, there's a couple of hydraulic rams, one on this side coming up here, and the other on the other side is a little bit more vertical. I'm going to try and print those on, but they're not going to be attached at the top. I'm going to attach them to the pickup conveyor. But my concern is they're going to be quite long and thin and quite delicate. So I'm concerned that there may be, that when they come to print, they might not necessarily print, but you know, we'll draw them on, we'll see how it goes. If they do print, fine, then great. If not, then so be it. Okay, so the first one we'll work on is on this side of the RM74, and it's going to go from where this thick part of the ram is, on the lower ram, and it goes inwards diagonally. I'm going to have to try and work out best ways to do this, but it's going to be a sort of plane at an angle that intersects these 2 points. It's going to have to go up to the top here, but I won't be touching the top. It'll be coming down from the bottom. Okay, so what I'm going to do is just turn this middle roof off, and then I'll say I'm going to use that plane at an angle. Now, looking for a vertical plane to work off, I think probably going to be best off working off of one of these two. I'm going to start with the right hand of these two here. So I'm looking at vertical edge, and I'm going to just rotate this round. I think maybe 10 degrees. I'm going to start with that, see how it works from there. So 10-degree angle on that plane, and then I'm going to put an offset plane from that plane just coming across. So looking there, that sort of is touching where this bit goes up towards the roof here on the end here, but also that looks like it's still within the area of the pickup conveyor. So that's a 2 mil across. So plane at an angle from this edge there, rotated 10 degrees, and then 2 mil across to the right from there. So let's catch up a second. Okay, so if we spin this round now, front on, I'm going to turn off plane 9, which is the angle plane. Use this offset one. Drawing a sketch on there. I'm just going to use the line tool again. I'm going to start it within the pickup conveyor, about where that thick part was that we drew on the lower ram. I'm going to bring it up. And as I say, it's going to be short of this top, so I'm going to bring it up. Let's go 15.3 millimeters. And then put an angle. Now, if you do measurement in that direction, so I won't do that. Okay, so angle from vertical, go try and do that somehow. We just go measurement from there to that point there. 15.75, and then dimension from there to the same point, 7.5. That generates the angles, and it should be locked in place at that point. Just got to go height wise. So we've got a measurement from the point here to this point on the pickup conveyor is 4.2 high, across 15.75 from there to there, and then the top point is 7.5 millimeters from that point. And then we can use the pipe tool thinking maybe 1 millimeter is looking reasonably okay. If we put the roof back on, yeah, the top's hidden, so you don't really even need to worry about the mounting point not being visible because you'll never see it. I'm just going to do it as one solid one because if you start putting, if we put the thin part at the bottom, then that'll be a weak point. And again, equally, if we put the thick parts on, then we'll have to start thinking about putting supports onto that when we print it. And I think with it being quite thin and quite long, it might be just a bit too delicate there. So I'm just going to go with that one solid and go with that. I think it's also going to be a bit of a problem trying to put this in when we go to build this in real printed items. Yeah, we'll have to see how that goes. Okay, on the other side, it starts much lower down, finishes sort of where the top of the conveyor is. So we're going to do a similar process on this side. Plane at an angle, turn the middle roof off. Select that angle there. So same position but on the other side. I'm actually going to go for a bit more angle this time. I think maybe 15 degrees. Offset plane from there 2 millimeters again. Turn plane 11 off, which is the angled plane. So looking at this side, it comes down a lot more vertical, and it's sort of where that middle. I might actually further back. Let me see if I've got another side on view. Okay, so looking at this one, you can see it starts where this flare out is on the lower part, which is at this point. So we'll create a sketch on that plane. Let's turn the side on again. We'll draw a line, and we're going to start it in this part here, and vertically it comes to where the roof is. So in this point up here. So you can see it's a completely different angle to the other side. Let's dimension this up. So we'll go for 12.75, and then we'll dimension from that same point that we were doing before. So 11.1 there. Height from it is 3.2. And then we'll do that top point to that point. We'll call that 6.5. And that's to find that all up, and then we can pipe that same 1 millimeter again. And the problem with this one is it will be visible slightly, so it's just going to be one of those that you'll have to accept that it's going to be floating. So with the same 1 millimeter on there. Okay, I think the last thing I'm going to do on today's episode with detailing this is I'm going to actually put a bit of a hole on the bottom of the pickup conveyor. So just going to roll the history back on the conveyor to before the mirror point. And then draw a sketch on the inside surface here. It's close through, so we're looking at it. And we're going to offset the inside edge. Let's bring that in. Say 0.6. And extrude that just in, maybe it needs to be 1 millimeter because you're not really going to see into it. And it just gives that impression it is actually hollow. Okay, and then we can jump that back to the end. Okay, so I hope you've enjoyed that lesson. You've been able to follow along. Your model's starting to look as detailed as this, or if you feel like you can put more detail on, put more on if you feel like you can. But yeah, just be wary of how much you do put and the capabilities of printing it. So thanks for watching. Hope you've enjoyed today's episode.